Hello, my name is Les Murray and I'm a NASA Solar System Ambassador here in the DFW area. The NASA Solar System Ambassadors are a group of trained volunteers that NASA trains us about all kinds of things that are going on at NASA and lets us talk to the NASA scientists and engineers. And we help bring what's going on at NASA and NASA educational resources to you at home. And so I wanted to start bringing some of these great NASA educational resources weekly so that you can help giving some STEM education at home during the pandemic. And the one that I would like to talk to you today about is the NASA Craters activity, where you can learn about craters. And this is a great follow-on activity for the International Observe the Moon Night, which happened last weekend. First, let's talk about the supplies that you'll need. So the first thing you'll need is some flour. I have a big container because I tend to work with lots of kids, but any size container will do that you've got, and put some regular white flour in it. And some of the other things that we'll need is some sprinkles, some asteroids, which I use marbles, pinto beans out of the cabinet. I've got some BBs here, like we would use in a BB gun. Those are nice high density asteroids. And it's good if you have a little wire mesh screen that you can use to put the cocoa on, and a little bit of cocoa powder. You might also go and find a rock or two out in your garden to be a big impactor, but that's the supplies you'll need. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to simulate space weathering, because on the moon what happens is the solar radiation actually darkens the surface of the moon. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to put a little bit of cocoa powder into this mesh strainer, and we're going to sprinkle the cocoa powder over the surface of the moon. And that simulates the solar wind actually aging the surface of the moon. And that's what happens over time. And that's why parts of the moon look really dark, is because they've been weathered by the solar radiation. So we're going to get a nice coating of cocoa powder on the top so that we've aged the moon. And then what we're going to do is we're going to simulate an asteroid strike. And so now what you can see is a lot of time has gone by on the moon, and now we've weathered the surface of the moon. And in comes an asteroid, a large asteroid in this case, and I'm going to drop it. And you can see the asteroid actually kicked up some of the material from down below, and you can see that it left these bright rays emanating out from the crater. And in fact, that's exactly what happens on the moon, is you get these craters that have nice bright white rays, and that tells you that that is a recent crater, and that it's throwing up material from down below that has never been weathered by the solar wind. And you can experiment with all kinds of things, like I've got some pinto beans here, which I can use to drop and make craters, and you can see that they don't make nearly as big a crater. You can also use more dense, smaller things, like I have BBs here, and you can see that they make nice, well-defined craters, and that they make smaller craters, and that the size of the impactor has a big difference. But also you can do things like you can experiment with a low velocity impactor, like a small, giving it a low velocity versus giving it a lot of energy and having a high velocity impactor, and see that there's a big difference in the craters that they make. And this is a great way to experiment and learn a lot more about craters and the surface of the moon.